because I do feel like there is too much fabric in this world already, and I know some of you are going to be mad to hear that. Hey friends, and welcome back to Sewing from Scratch and another episode of Global Slow Fashion Awareness. I am Kate, and this is where I teach you everything I know about sewing, and we learn more together along the way. In this series, I share topics that relate to slow fashion versus fast fashion, why we want to be shopping sustainably, voting with our dollar, and choosing items for our wardrobe that are going to last the long haul and be an investment piece that we can be proud of. If this is your first time tuning in for a Global Slow Fashion Awareness episode, I will link the playlist down below, including the intro, which kind of outlines more of what's going on here. So for today's episode, we are going to be talking about small batch versus mass production. What's the difference? Which one's better? I'm also going to touch on what the heck this means for sewing and why I'm bringing it up here. So let's start off by talking about what is mass production. Mass production of garments is usually done in a factory. It's usually done it can be even done in multiple factories by many workers. I'm not going to touch on the labor rights or how they're being treated, because that varies tremendously by factory, and some mass production factories are wonderful and treat their garment workers amazing, and the next one is slave work, basically. So it can be anywhere between that. Just if you are purchasing from a mass-produced shop, maybe do some research into what that company does to better their workers' environment. So like I said, these items are manufactured in a factory and then typically wholesaled to big box stores. Think of like Walmart or Target or Aeropostale or Old Navy or even higher end brands. They're producing a ton of the same garment and then shipping it out basically worldwide, or to just specific demographics that are going to fit that target. So for example, you go to Walmart, you see a shirt in your local store, you go to another Walmart, you're probably going to be able to find that same shirt. So what is small batch? Small batch can also be produced in factories. I am not claiming that small batch is all done at home by one person sewing on their own personal domestic sewing machine. That is not always the case. Small batch can also mean in factories or by a hired seamstress or sewist who is sewing for a living, but it will be a lot smaller quantity than a mass-produced garment. But small batch can also mean one person in their bedroom with a domestic sewing machine. Maybe it's their grandmother's from the 50s. They are sewing all their items on there and shipping them out. Typically these types of shops do all their own marketing, selling, shipping, all of the above. They are a one-man show. Yes, many can have employees, that is for sure. Some might even be fortunate enough to have their things available in boutiques or purchased wholesale. Some of my favorite shops that I like to mention are Buttercream Clothing, Tiny Tim's, Oasis Boutique, and True Leaf Collection. These are all Canadian brands, Canadian women-owned brands who are doing the hustle to make a living for their family. So what are the benefits of mass production? Well, typically you're going to be buying things that are less cost because the company has less overhead. They're able to make more things at once while that seamstress is sitting down at her machine. They're able to batch things, so one seamstress might just do the cutting and then another person does the basting and then another person does the actual construction, another person does the finishing, so it goes a lot faster. They're also able to make more items out of one design, so the cost of the design is less per item, if that makes sense. And a lot of times they're able to get discounts on fabrics and materials and things like that, so that also equates to a lower cost to you. And what are the benefits of small batch? Well, there's less waste overall, because small batch business owners, I feel like they purchase what they want and they use that. They are only purchasing what they want. If they don't, they can resell the raw fabrics. Their waste, like their cutting waste, they are more likely to recycle it or make something different out of it to reduce their environmental footprint. And I do feel like they are promoting quality over quantity. The people who are selling their items and marketing themselves, they are proud of what they make. You know, they're putting their name on something. They don't want it to be like a subpar product that they're selling. So it's quality, right? They're gonna make sure they are getting the best materials that they can you know, sustainably afford and things like that. There is also a bigger environmental aspect to it overall. If we compare mass production and small batch, in general, small batch producers are looking at sustainability and environmental impact more than mass-produced shops. And because typically small batch is supporting a shop, like an actual physical one person, you are supporting a dream. You are helping that person, lots of times women, grow their dreams and live their goals. This also means that you know that the worker is being treated fairly. Well, maybe not in all cases, but that's their own personal decision if they want to stay up for 48 hours sewing straight, right? They're not putting that onto somebody else. Again, I'm not saying all small batches like that, but for the majority, these humans are amazing people. Okay, so now the downsides. Mass production produces a ton of waste because it's promoting consumerism. They're marking those t-shirts at $4 because they want you to buy 10 of them, whereas you could just spend $30 and buy a more sustainable option from somebody else. So they're promoting you to buy more, fill your drawers, fill your closets, and then just, you know, use them and throw them away. So in my opinion, this does promote consumerism, and they're overproducing, which are two things that I can't stand behind. So there's a couple downsides to small batch that I do want to mention. Oftentimes you will have a wait time. So if things are being made to order and they're custom, then you will have to wait for them. Sometimes shops do drops where they have everything ready for retail, and then you can just go and shop and buy it right now and they'll ship it out sooner. You do typically have to pay your own shipping costs. Especially here in Canada, shipping is really expensive. And the other downside to buying small batch is it's more expensive. We are supporting a dream, we are supporting a lifestyle, we are supporting somebody who is putting in the work and using their skills to try and make a living. And you know, you don't balk at somebody who's a carpenter who comes into your home and is going to repair something. Their price is their price and you're paying for their skill, and you understand that. Well, they went to school to be a journeyman, they know what they're doing, they have this experience behind them. Sewing is a skill as well. Even if somebody isn't classically trained, it is a skill. And we need to remember we're paying for that. As much as we're paying for the amazing quality fabric that this shop is getting, that they don't get discounts on like the bigger shops do. Not to mention those mass-produced things the quality is rarely good. But the bottom line is, yes, it is more money, but again, we're just purchasing maybe one or two things instead of a whole cart full of things. You don't have to be a minimalist for this, but I do encourage you to kind of think of it as investing in your wardrobe, investing in somebody else, and that'll kind of, again, get that mental switch going that we don't need 10 different t-shirts that are $4 each. Maybe we only need one or two, but we know they're good quality, we know they're gonna last longer, we know we might be able to even pass them on at the end when we're done with them, and something like that can last you literally years, decades even. All right, now why am I bringing this up, and what does it have to do with sewing? I guess when we're thinking of sewing and we're thinking of a small batch and you know, mass produced and things like that, I guess it comes down to fabric. And now I really struggle with this. I'm gonna be honest here, I really struggle with this, because if we think of custom printed fabrics, so I'm gonna bring up Spoonflower because they brag themselves up about being sustainable. I'm not going to get into, you know, their quality and stuff like that, because personally I don't have anything good to say about it, but I will say that I'm not sure if printing like 1 meter at a time, or however many meters at a time, is more sustainable. I realize that it's less consumerism, but is it the most sustainable? I don't know. I do have an episode on the most sustainable fabric, and in that video I talk about buying secondhand, buying dead stock. I do believe in that, even though when you buy dead stock, yes, you're showing the mass production team that, oh, we can overproduce our fabrics and somebody will buy it. I do encourage you to use your thrift store or your local buy-sell trade groups, fabric destashes before you shop other places. But again, I just really struggle with the custom printing. Even, you know, there's a lot of Canadian and American groups that are like women-run businesses, and they're making their own designs and they're having them custom printed on fabrics. We call them custom fabrics. Honestly, I've quit buying. I mean, I'll buy the odd thing retail, again, because, you know, they brought it in and it's a little extra and they sold it, and I really do feel like secondhand fabric is the way to go. Does that mean I only buy secondhand fabric? No, of course not. If I need something, like I needed some board short fabric for my kids, I bought custom board short fabric for my kids. It was a retail drop. I bought 1/2 meter each for each of them to make some bucket hats. just don't be excessive. Don't show consumerism. I don't know, maybe we'll leave it at that because I'm not sure how else to talk about it. Maybe this will spark some conversation down in the comments. I hope it does. So if this video was eye-opening to you, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for sticking around. Bye!